Hey guys, and welcome here today on the Big Orange Couch. I'm here with Chris, who's one of our clients. He's been working with us for about a year now. Most people think, well, you work in the markets, why would you be investing in property? So what sort of was the led you to property?
The first flat that I bought with my girlfriend, now wife, in 1987, when we look back and see what we bought for £50,000 in Wimbledon at the time and what it's now worth, I can almost embrace what you're proposing in terms of 10-year doubling as actually, yes, property that we've invested in has done very well.
So you've only been with us, for just under a year now, and yet you've got 8 properties.
Yeah.
Why so quickly? What prompted you to sort of jump in?
So I read the book,
Yep.
And had
Fantastic.
planned to do the 2 and stop and
Yep.
wait and blah 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 blah.
24-hour sleep test. That's been a good thing.
Very much.
It
so.
takes away the pressure from the sales process, you think? Or?
Well, I have to say, for the first probably 2, 3, 4 properties, yes, I emotionally needed that.
Yep.
Now I know pretty much as soon as I look through the worksheets.
What do you think most attracted you to YPC working with us and that sort of thing? What sort of
The
things?
fact I didn't have to do a whole lot, as awful as that sounds.
So it's sort of set and forget mentality.
And what it meant was I can do my day job, and then with very limited amounts of yes, no, money transfer, things in the evening with work around.
What's your sort of plans for the future?
My initial approach into this had been very much around, okay, let's secure old age, senility and pension, and this could replace my regular job. How do I look after my kids going forwards, help them onto the property ladder, and indeed, at the time of their lives they need the money now.